Hi everybody, this is Mark Hanna. I am making a quick commentary video here about the Vassal module being used for Space Empires 4X. By the way, let me make my disclaimer here. This is an excellent Vassal module, don't get me wrong. Before I start saying some things that might sound like I don't like it, I love it. I'm playing with it. This is a game that I've got going on with a guy right now. We're having a great time with this. We're learning some things. I'm not the best player of SE4X. I'm trying to get better. And I like to use the Vassal module to get better. It's an outstanding game. Kudos to Jim Crone and everybody. This has been said a million times. I don't need to review this game. That's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to make sure that it what I have to say, my point, is accurately understood and is getting through and is not being misrepresented by other people who've decided to hijack what I'm trying to say. Also, if it's my responsibility to make sure that I'm being clear to those individuals who felt it necessary to do that, then that's another reason I'm doing this video, and also to explain something of what I consider to be an axiomatic property of automation. So let's get right down to it. Here is a chart. We call this an asymptotic chart. This isn't the exact chart I would use for this, but I didn't have time to prepare something a little more elegant. I just wanted to get this video out there and see if I can get it up. So, as you can see, we've got this curve here. So if on this curve, this is the 0 point for both two axes. This axis, this direction, is the amount of automation. The axis going this way is the amount of human effort, okay, that's required, okay. All right, so rather than call it laziness, which seems to offend people for some reason, and they seem to think that I think this is bad, which I don't, because I've made no value judgments here. I'm simply stating the axiom, and the axiom is this. The more automation that you put into something, such that at 100% automation there's no involvement by a human, then at that point in time, other than the limited amount of understanding that you need to turn the automation machine on, the Vassal machine, you're not actually doing anything else. So at 100% automation of SE4X, this would involve the computer playing itself. Red would be playing blue, you would be watching the game, and you wouldn't be doing anything. You'd simply be watching it. At 0% automation down here on this part of the curve, that's right down here, okay, obviously you have to put in a maximum amount of effort. You have to learn all of the rules, you have to learn how to calculate the production, you have to learn how to and when to build the shipyards, you have to know how to do it incrementally. You can't build them all at once. There's many factors to consider, okay. Now, what I'm saying here is this. If you have this endpoint and if you have this endpoint, there is some curvilinear relationship, which I don't know, between this variable of automation and let's say that's the other variable being amount of human effort. I'm not telling people that this is the only variable out there. Of course, this is a multivariate system. So certain people will put more effort than others. Certain people will put their time saved into learning the game better and reading rules. But on the other hand, and any time you automate something, there is a propensity for laziness to creep in because simply you don't have to do things that you normally would have had to do before. I gave an example in the forum of washing dishes. Basically, my dishwasher broke, our dishwasher broke over there. We had to do it by hand. Neither of us were that good at it. It's because we hadn't done it for a while. This is normal, okay? It's absolutely normal that we don't practice things that we don't need to practice. We use that time to do something else, okay? Which makes the breaking of a dishwasher a real pain, doesn't it? You see my point? Okay, so that's all I'm saying. At some point in time, the more automation that's put into this system, and I don't know what this curve looks like exactly, but it's going to lead to a decline in the quality of gameplay. Okay. Yes, there's other variables. You can add more players. I mean, with more Vassal, you're going to get more players out there. Okay, you're going to get probably make it easier and more fun to play. Somebody commented that it's, gets rid of the fiddly bits. But on the other hand, getting rid of the fiddly bits that you should know how to do can make things problematic. If you don't check the automation to make sure it's correct, then how do you know the automation's working? Well, a quote, lazier person won't bother to check that. A person who stays up on the game will check the automation and make sure it's working. I'll give you an example from this exact module. Take a look. You see this fighter here? Okay, this fighter, F2 it looks like, was flipped over in a previous battle. Now, he's my opponent. I'm the red opponent. If this fighter is flipped over, I should only be able to see basically a blank counter like this. These are all new ships that he's been building, okay? But if I flip it over myself, I still see what's on there. I still have the little sub-graphic, this little box in a box that's here. This is automation, folks. This has been automated. If this was just a thing of the real game, okay, it would be on the backside as simply a blank blue ship, and that's what should be seen when I flip it over. But no, you have to go through some kind of process, and I'm not sure what it is. I think I have to send this to his hand, and then he has to bring it back on a colony, and then it will look like it's flipped over. But I had to check that out. I had to make sure. If you don't know that the rule is you can flip stuff back over, so that's hidden if you're sitting on a colony at the beginning of your movement or something, I think it's at the beginning of the movement, then you wouldn't play the game right. You would be overly exposed to intelligence information that the other players should not have. Okay, that's just an example of automation affecting gameplay. There's countless other examples of this. Okay, so this happens not only in the SE4X module, it happens in many other modules. It happens all over the place. And it changes the nature of the gameplay. Okay, it does. It does. Whether or not you believe that is irrelevant. Whether or not you don't like that is irrelevant. It's axiomatic. It's obvious that that's the case. Okay, it's just obvious. So we can proceed with that as essentially more automation versus less human effort is a law of the universe, and I make no value judgment, okay, about that. I don't decry technology. I love it myself. I love automation. All right. I recognize that it makes people more accessible. That's great if people can't pick up counters. I've played because of Vassal. I've played with paraplegics who could not otherwise play. I mean, this is not lost on me. Okay. If I thought it was important to make that point, I would have made it. I was simply pointing out that automation is disrupting this game in two ways. First, and most primary, is that right now we can't get caught up with the existing Vassal module developments. The current level is 3.5.7. That's the current Vassal engine development level. This can only be played on 3.2.17 or possibly previous versions. And right now I've had reports from a friend of mine or a player that I'm playing another game that requires 3.2.17. He cannot download it. It is hanging up. It will not download. Okay, so if indeed, as somebody pointed out, that it's important that we get new players into this game, then they have to be able to download the Vassal module that would be used for it. And that's critical. Okay, and I claim to you, whether you like it or not, whether it's, I don't have a value judgment. Somebody said I was bad. Automation is bad. You've told me automation is bad. I said, no, I didn't. This is words that you're putting in your mouth, in my mouth. People, you shouldn't put words in other people's mouths, create a straw man argument, and then try to knock them down with it. That is a particular chat room tactic that I see that is, at the very least, extremely annoying. Okay. Anybody can do that. Anybody can play that game. And instead of addressing the actual points that are made, come up with these straw man arguments and then try to shoot them down. Well, congratulations. Okay. Well done, but you've actually accomplished nothing towards, making this game better. So I suggest you divert your efforts into trying to do that if you care. Somebody said I'm taking this too seriously. No, I'm just trying to make a point. I actually don't care that much about it. It's simply an interesting fact. That's how I brought it up. And apparently this has offended certain people because they don't like it. Well, I'm sorry, don't mean to be laughing at you, but you're being a bit ridiculous about it. Okay, so that's what I have to say. Again, let me conclude by saying this. Okay, this is a great module. This is a great game. Enjoy it. Enjoy your automation, or don't enjoy it with automation, but I think there should be an option to have the automation reduced in this game to make it more vanilla. Actually, the best automation should be completely something you turn off or on. At the beginning of the game, this should just be played just like the counters are on the side of the table. That's, and play it like it's actually a board game. That's what Vassal was for originally, and I think it's a good way to keep that in mind for future games. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for listening. If you made it all the way through this, thank you.